Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, testing, testing, one, two, three. Brilliant. Yeah, here we go. So I'm live. Wow. Okay. We're actually doing it. Okay. Welcome everyone to this is the first track clinic. I'm gonna mute the music's distracting me. Right. Hang on. Two secs. Two secs. Ah, right. That's better. I pushed the talk on. Okay, so this is the first episode of the track clinic series that I'm going to be doing on the JamWith server. This is the first episode. I think most people want to learn about vocals. If there's something you want to learn about people at the end, if there's a topic that we want to go over more than others, then please let me know. But so yeah, so this is the first episode, and it's the basics. It's not going to be anything too advanced, but this will be the essential foundations of vocal processing. So when I say processing, I mean mixing, so EQ, compression, and also some of the basic effects. Nothing too crazy, but I'll show you as we go along. So I'm going to start the session with some critical listening. Um, I think it's probably the most underrated skill you can have as a producer or as a musician, even. Um, Being able to separate a song into different layers takes some learning, but once you get the hang of it, you can really start to understand how songs work, how instruments work, how vocals work, which we'll be learning today. So we're going to play a couple tracks. I've put a link in the chat for people to use, which is just a form, a critical listening form. So if you want to make notes on what you're hearing as we go along, it will help you remember. Kind of like a making notes in a lecture or something. So after that, we're going to just do some listening. So like before and after, and then I'm going to take us through every step of the way, little clips. So step one, two, three, four. You will hear how it sounds at each stage, and if people want to ask questions, I'm going to stop between certain points just to I know that everyone's following, everyone's okay. Because if we leave all the questions to the end, then we'll have too many, won't we? But at the end, actually, I wanted to have just a little kind of Q&A discussion, just a relaxed kind of energy. If there's anything that you wanted to ask me or other people, so we'll start with the critical listening. So I'm going to play this first track. Well, this is a good question, Ray. Very good question. Um, so for the critical listening section, I'll play about halfway through, and then if people want to get on their voice, we can do that. Or you can use the guide sheet if you don't want to use your microphone. That's fine. But as long as you're participating and you're doing your best to try and pinpoint things. It shouldn't be too hard. I hope I've chosen some good examples. Um, so just follow these points I've left here. Essentially, focus on the vocal. Just try and think, what does it do? You know, where is it going? How does it sound? At certain points in the track, does it change? So this is the first example, so there's no pressure. But I'll stop it probably after the second chorus. I'll just let people listen to a bit because it's like probably about 4 minutes long. But we need to give people time to actually pinpoint things and know what they're listening to. So let's hope this plays. So if you want to use the guide sheet, you can just scan the QR or use the link in the chat. Let me know if this is loud enough. I'm not sure. Some people have heard this. I don't want to leave a song playing for too long without people jumping in. So, does anyone want to go first? Tell me where you think the vocal sits. Anything about the vocal, anything you noticed at all? If not, you can put something in the chat, something you noticed. Just for the basics, absolute basics, to start off with. You can say pretty much anything, and you'll probably be right. But I am looking for some specifics. Hello.
Can I say that I like how the vocals sit within the beat, like it's not drowning the beat out, I guess.
Yeah, go on. That's it.
You know, some people they like start mixing first of all, then like the vocals are too loud or something.
Yeah, that's right. So what did you hear with this one?
Now I feel like it was like perfect balance.
Yeah, did it sound like
Or at least
it was
good
kind of
balance.
going up, weaving with the beat, you know, like a to and fro?
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, that's well, it's down to opinion a lot, but from what I've
Hmm.
experienced, that's what you want. Is you want the vocals and the instrumental to kind of play off each other. You know, the instrumental is going to come through sometimes and take center stage, but most of the time you're going to want the vocals to be taking charge. But if you have the vocals loud all the time, constant, it doesn't work. You know, same with anything. You have anything too loud, too present all the time, it doesn't work.
Yeah, like if the beat is too loud or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. Yeah,
Something.
you have a beat that's too loud and it sounds like the vocalist is in the other room or something. You know, could be either
Yeah.
way. It's
I
really
feel
hard to get
everything you're
that
talking about.
balance. Yeah, yeah. But when I say depth, what else could you think about? Not
You're
just
talking about
volume, but space as well.
like if a vocal sounds like,
Go on.
what do you call it, like crispy,
You're
like different textures,
on. You're on the right lines. Yeah, like the timbre of the voice. So you get like
like whatever.
what do you call
Yeah,
it? You only get some of the female singers that like have that. What was it called? Like the what was it? The American women. They have like the vocal fry. That's it. Oh
a
my
vocal fry.
god. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know they're making their voice sound it's a different texture, isn't it? You know, oh my god, it's very croaky. But
Like
it's
you ever heard the
similar.
rapper Dancer Curry? It's similar to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great example. Yeah. So timbre, yeah, that is very it's a very handy thing to be able to do as a vocalist is to change how you're saying things. You know, you don't even have to do
And like,
any work on
yeah,
like any software because you're literally doing it with your voice.
it did depend on what type of genre you're making.
Yeah. But what I want to ask you then, to get you close to what I'm thinking of, is how do you sound when you sing in the bathroom versus when you're,
Or
say,
like the
outside?
acoustic,
Yeah, but what about the acoustic
like sound
makes it?
design, like sound designers, or
No, no.
like
Just imagine you're singing in the bathroom. What makes it sound so
like the
nice?
emotions,
Or if, say you're in a cave, or in a church.
reverb off of the
You,
sounds.
That's it. That's it. Now on the head. Reverb and echo, delay, anything that makes a sound um, have the texture of space and
The
distance.
EQs. All right,
Brilliant
I
stuff.
feel everything
Yeah.
you're saying.
So space and effects. I did leave a little clue at the top, and it was only a little one though. Um, but with vocal mixing and um, the basic effects, you're going to get the majority of the time you're going to spend is on reverb and on delays. And if you could do anything, if you could master any um, post processing effects, to get a vocal sounding good, if you just had delay and reverb, in terms of post processing effects, not EQ and stuff like that, that's more important. But they're the two biggest tools in your arsenal. And I'm going to play another song. This is more upbeat. Um, Now for this one, I'll go. Whoa. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't reading the chat. I wasn't reading the chat. Sorry, Ray. Okay. No, no. So for the critical listening, it's more about today's topic is vocal processing and effects, and these are professional tracks. At least I hope they are. They're mine, but their tracks I think are a great example of what you can do with vocals in terms of just purely EQ, reverb, and delay, and with the critical listening part. I mean, I can change it for future sessions, but for this one, I want people to really listen into the vocal and hear what's happening to it. Does it change throughout? You know, in the chorus, in the verses, is it different in certain sections? Are there multiple layers of vocal? This is this isn't the same track. This is a different track. Yeah, yeah. Um, right. Let's have a look. I'm reading the only response that I got to my form. What do you think of the form? Right. Okay. Well. There. I should just have like one box, really, shouldn't I? Just to type notes in. Yeah. The reason I had the forms is because they're anonymous, so people, don't feel pressured to say things. You know, they feel um, more likely to share their opinion. I hope so, anyway. Right? Yeah, yeah. So this is the thing. I can get just way too like thorough with it, and then I'll look at it again. I'll be like, what have I done? Like this is just like this is doing office work. Well, what I'll do, Ray, I'll make a new one, and I'll just have a couple boxes, um, with maybe a couple sections there to have like hints and stuff for people. Some little tips in between. Okay. Because I was trying to make this as like a kind of like a general all-purpose thing. Um, yeah. Well, what I'll do, I'll I'll take on board that feedback because I just looked at the questions you answered and I was like scrolling down and then like, there was more, and then there was section three, section two, section three. Okay, right. So let's no, but it's not really gonna help you. I mean, I think what I probably did is overthought how much someone would need to be guided through it, and did like every little kind of thing, broke it down too much. If people want to type in the chat, then I'm gonna have to learn to read chat more. I'm not as much of a streamer. I don't know if you can tell. Oh yo, Pious. This guy is he. I don't know how long ago did he start doing the techno stuff, but he started learning a new genre and he's
So,
mastering it so quickly.
bro, I got a new track. You need to listen after.
Have you?
Yeah.
Mate, after this, I'll give it a listen. Is it good?
I feel like, but I'm not sure.
Right. Well, if you want to join in with the live today, it's about vocals and mixing vocals, basic effects, just the foundation stuff. Um, section we're on now is Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. And I suppose it would be good for next sessions. You know, this is the first one. People want to submit things to have played the next session. You know, if they're applying things that they've learned from episode 1, if you do a vocal and you use something from this lesson, or you just do something you're proud of, if you send it over, then in the next workshop, I'm going to start the session with playing submitted tracks from people. So we'll get to the end of this and we'll see how we do. But if you do make something with a vocal, and you use any of the techniques that we discussed today, then do send it over, because I'd love to listen. But yeah, let's move to the next track. So this is a more of an upbeat house dance kind of thing. But for this one, focus specifically on delay and reverb and how it's used between phrases, between sections, you know, the chorus, the verse. Exactly. A lot of delay. Where is it being played though? Does the delay sound the same throughout the track? You know, where are you hearing the delay? Is anything changing? Is the reverb changing? pretty much what is the vocal doing in the chorus, and what is the vocal doing in the verses, in the hooks and the build-ups. Listen to it here. Very, 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 very spacious. Sounds like it's nose catching on. Now, if it sounded like this the whole way through, would that be good or would that be bad? What do you think personally? Would you like that? Would you like a vocal to bad? Yeah. Why is that? Why would it be bad? I'm not saying you're wrong at all, but why? What do you think? Yeah? It would be repetitive, but what else would it be? Yeah, boring, yeah. It would also be hard to hear what the vocal's saying, wouldn't it? I mean, the whole point of a vocal is if you hear the words, at least somewhat. If it's like that the whole way through, what's the point? Especially if they're mixed the way they are. So those vocals were quite at the front. They weren't background vocals, were they? At least during the verses. And, the hook, it was quite forward in the hook. It felt like it was there, but then what did you notice about the vocal in some of the break sections, when the bass changes? The delay and the reverb being amped up, being turned way up. This is an extreme example, and especially because of the genre as well, the tempo. But there's a contrast between the verses, the hook, which you want to hear what the vocal's saying with this kind of track. At least that's what I was going for. You need the vocal to be understood, but then if you've just got a plain vocal all the way through, I mean that's also a bit boring, isn't it? Kind of you want the best of both worlds. So one of the things you can do, and it's something you can probably apply to the majority of genres, is using effects and processing differently in different sections of your song. It can be one of the indicators that you use to people to say, right, this is the chorus, this is a verse, this is a middle eight, It doesn't have to be extreme like this. This is quite a contrast. It would be hard to not notice the difference, especially if you play this again and you hear it again. Yeah, exactly. Creating tension, using automations and starting with a dry vocal and gradually amping up the delay, the reverb, making it sound all spacious and with loads of reverb tails. Great for creating tension for build-ups. But when you have a verse or a hook, I can't speak for every genre, but I would say for the majority of them, you want your vocal to be heard. You want people to understand what it's saying, especially if it's a lead vocal like this one was. And also, if you listened carefully, you'd have noticed the delays played with the stereo image, so left and right. In the hooks, in the verses, it's very much in the middle, the vocal, and that's where you want your most important things. Is you want them in the middle, in the mono center. That's why you've got your bass in the middle, and most of the time you have your core of your vocal in the middle, and you get stereo with your effects, and you can play with them do all sorts of things with them. And also, actually, yeah, in this one, the tail movement. So, do we know what I mean when I say that? What is the tail? I wish, right? It's not a tale like a story either. It's a very specific thing. Yep. That's it. Yeah. So the tale is once the actual audio that has the effect on it, so a decay, reverb, whatever. So once the sample of the vocal is stopped, anything that plays after that is the tail. So that's what tails off after the vocals stopped. And the tail moving means the amount that the reverb or the delay is playing after the vocal is being changed through the song. So through a verse or a hook, you don't want the tail kind of getting in the way of the vocal and making it sound, masked and muddy. You want the vocal to sound nice and clean during these important sections. But during those breakdowns, I'll play this again. I'll turn the volume down a bit. But yeah, during the break sections, you can play around with it. Yeah, it's for the release. Yeah, so similar to a synthesizer. If you have a nice long release time, get Serum up or whatever VST you use, and crank the release up. Then when you let go, it still plays, after a certain amount of time. It's a very similar thing. So if you listen to this now, you can hear it's very, very wet and echoey. There's lots of delay, lots of reverb. And that's a arrangement trick as well, putting contrasting things together. So that was lots and lots of reverb and delay with something really dry. So now listen to the vocal in the hook. It's still not dry, it's still got effects on it, but it's a lot more tame. That's enough of that song for me for now. I've heard that one so many times. I'm on 1080p, 15 FPS. Is it all right for everyone else? Okay, right. So before we move on, if anyone's got any questions before I explain the actual process, because I've got a vocal here that I took to each step that I'm going to show you. So before we start that, anyone have any questions about what we just listened to? Want to know about specifics about delays, reverbs? I'm going to explain it soon, later on. It's part of the workshop. But if we don't have any questions, I'll carry on.
I got the question.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry, I write it on the chat. I didn't know I had to unmute me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but basically it was two questions. Like the first one was
you
about
definitely you do want to do that, yeah.
Okay.
You also, what you might be better off doing as well is um, just having delays only on send effects,
Yeah,
return tracks, and um, ducking the return tracks to whatever it would get in the way of, I suppose. Having it like one consistent delay or reverb is really going to put you way ahead of someone that uses. So they've got, say, 3, 4 synth layers, and they've got 4 different delay settings on, one for each.
yeah.
It's going to be an absolute mess. It's going to be really hard to mix that as well. But you also maybe want to look into what is it called? Multi-band sidechain that you set the bands similar to like a multi-band compressor,
Yeah.
and it affects the bands differently. So if you're wanting a reverb, like a vocal reverb or a delay, to echo the higher ranges of the vocal, but you don't want it to interfere with some of the lower frequencies of whatever vocal you've got. A multi-band sidechain can duck the lower frequencies, like your 1K ish
Yeah.
hertz, can duck those a lot harsher than the higher ranges, like your 5K. It can be a lot softer on that, and that's what I would call more of a transparent method. Is there a plugin for this, or would you duplicate it?
I would usually use like the multiband, like the stock Ableton multiband. Then you create the chains. You make like a group and you create the
Yeah,
chains,
so
and
you
you
use the actual audio chains, the
yeah.
Ableton ones, yeah. Nico, what do you mean about a plugin for this or duplicating the audio? So what I'm basically saying is, if you're going to use a delay or reverb on a vocal, don't put it on the vocal track. Have a send, a return, whatever it's called in your program, and put the effects on that track and send your vocal there. And what you have then is your pure vocal, which is dry, which is clean and nice once you've EQ'd it. And then you also have a wet volume, which you should be sending your other layers to. But what this basically does is then when you want to make the vocals sound more spacious, wetter, then you turn up how much of that you're sending to the return or the send track. And then when you want to reduce the amount of wetness, you simply reduce how much of that's been sent to the other track. But the beauty of it is you always have that dry vocal layer. If you put it on top of the actual vocal, what you're doing is you're removing that clean layer from the mix. You don't have it isn't as easy to mix if you're throwing it all onto that one track, especially with a vocal. You want to be able to make it nice and clean. Right, I'm going to play some little clips. So this is a vocal, so it's just a dry vocal. I think it's quite loud. You have to tell me if it's too loud. I'll turn it down a bit. So I'm just going to play these two, and you tell me which one you prefer. Get ready to hear this phrase a lot because I've used it for every step. So this is the first one. And This is the second. It's not a trick question. To me, it's fairly obvious that the first one sounds clean and the second one sounds spacious. If you're going to do a mix with a vocal, then the second one, without even changing volume at all, is going to sound quieter than example A. It's just how mixing works. So if you want to reduce how present your vocal is without even touching the volume, the gain, then you can up how much reverb and delay it has on it. So this is the key thing I think you should remember, is just because it sounds good when you're putting your effects on it, you make the vocal sound lovely, you listen to it solo, doesn't mean it's going to sound good in context in the song you're making. I don't know how many times gain staging with post-processing. I would say you don't really want to gain stage too much until your effects are locked in, because you're probably going to change it in about an hour and it's going to sound completely different. I've done it so many times where I spent like an hour or two putting effects on, doing whatever, just messing about, thinking, oh yeah, I've got something really good. Then I unsolo it and I think, oh my God, I can't even hear it. It sounds horrible. Well, I've just wasted an hour. Yeah, context. So if you're mixing a vocal, just be sure that you're unsoloing and listening to it in context, every 10, 15 minutes or so. But if you're going to gain stage, I would say the first few steps are where you normalize the volume, which I'll show. So this is the 5 steps. I've broken it down into as simple as I can, really. This isn't everything to do. You can do with a vocal. You can do a lot more, but this is what I would say I would call the foundation. Yeah. You don't want to dial in the level too much, because in 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever, you could do something to your vocal, or you could do something to another layer that reduces the level of that sound, so then the vocal comes through more. And you don't really want to mess around too much with gain staging it, as long as you can hear it. See, what I actually like to do is, if when I put a new sound in, is I put it louder than I need it, and then once I've done with it, I mute it, work on something else, then unmute it again after about 10 minutes, and it sounds really loud to me, but that's good. Then I'll bring it down to the level I want. But for me personally, I can't really mix or create something new unless it's louder than everything else. Once I've done the whatever I'm doing, like the processing of it, I think then my brain's like, right, now let's get it in the mix. So there's 5 simple steps that you can follow. If you do all of these and you don't cut corners, you can get a pretty good vocal. So the first is stability. Now, this is going to be very obvious. Just listen. Oh, well, that's the wrong sample. Never mind. So, second, RP. Hello. So the second step is what I would call tone positioning. This is pretty much EQ, um, getting rid of things you don't want in your vocal, your sample. You'll do this with every layer, but vocals especially. Human beings, we're so trained in to the human voice. We can we notice things very quickly. So it's very fine margins, but this is tone positioning. Is it lagging for anyone else? Because it's really lagging for me. It's just like stopping.
It's fine for, at least for me, it's fine.
Right, okay. It's like stopping like as soon as I press play. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get through this bit. Hopefully it's better. So then once you've stabilized it, you've EQ'd, you've got rid of what you don't want, then the vocal needs to be in some sort of space. If you've recorded the vocal well, then it's going to sound very dry, which is good. You want a dry vocal to work with, but you don't want it as an end result, I suppose. So you put a bit of space for the vocal, which is just mainly reverb. And then movement is not just delay, it's also about automation and about changing how the vocal energy is. If I could make a general statement. So if you notice the example from earlier, the house dance one, there's very much a big contrast between the verses and the chorus and the breakdown. That was all to do with movement, and that was telling you as a listener, right, we're at this section now. Oh, something's changed. And it's a very handy tool, but you can overdo it. Don't use too much of any of the stuff towards the end, because you've got other techniques, which I'll probably do in another workshop, which go further than this. But movement sounds like this, very subtle. Can you hear the difference between these two? That's very hard. It's clicking for me. That's the most subtle difference. I probably should have made it more contrasty, but that is the delay added there. And this is the biggest change.
Is it the rate?
Say again?
Did you automated the rate to create the movement?
Yeah, so you hear the reverberations, the feedback.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. Yeah, right at the end. So you don't want a delay to play through when the vocal is saying whatever lyrics you want people to hear, but you do want it to link things together. So you probably found with this the techno stuff you've been doing that you're automating stuff just between sections mostly, so link things together. So yeah, so 5 is character. Now this is where you differentiate yourself. Once you do the basics, you everyone's got to EQ. You've got to compress. You've got to get rid of low end mud that you don't want in your vocal. Everyone's going to do that. What you do to differentiate yourself is character, and there's such a wide variety of things you can do. You can add flange, you can add chorus, you can go crazy with stereo, you can add distortion, you can saturate heavily, you can have layers to your vocal, you can harmonize. This is where you do your thing, basically. And this is what I did. It's not too complicated, but I played the one before, so you can hear the difference. So the vocal there has a lot more high-end detail. I'll bring it forward a lot more.
Yeah.
And I've done that specifically at the end because I want to bring out the quality of these things that I've done beforehand. If you did this, over here, then what you're doing is you're going to bring out qualities you don't want. So that's why you do these first. You get rid of these frequencies you don't want. You make it sound even, so that, similar to a gain stage, but this would be more like compression. Then you EQ, you get rid of what you don't want. Always, by the way, always take away rather than add. Don't use an EQ to boost anything because you're going to regret it. You can do it sometimes, but as a rule, don't boost with an EQ. So you want to take away what you don't want, then put the vocal in some sort of space so it doesn't sound like it's they're next to your ear. They want to live in the same space as the song. I'm sure you've heard many a song that sounds like the vocalist was in one country, the beat was made by someone in another country, and then someone in a third country put it all together, and they're all in different universes. So that's what space is good for, is unifying things. Movement is you glue mainly between different sections, and then character is how you make it sound like yours, pretty much.
I got a question, if it's alright.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for like the character, like, do you advise to do like a lot of parallel processing, or like, what was the process that you made, for example, for this one? Because I hear, like, I don't know if it's like saturation, or like you choose a specific frequency to boost on the high end to have this
Okay, right.
yeah. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, what I would advise is take it on a case by case basis. You've got to go for what is going to sound good for your vocal. So the one I'm using here is quite like soft. The way she's singing, um, it's very much like an like angelic kind of sounding.
Yeah,
So that could be quite high. But then if you've got a vocal, say you've pitch bent it down, maybe got some formants on it, and it's sounding funky, you'd want to do something else with it. So
yeah,
you'd have to look at the character of the sound. If it's supposed to sound more grungy, it's more of a background vocal. It's more of like a loop or a chop. It's not as much of a sung vocal. That will sound different.
mm,
But I would actually say just try out all the different effects. Try out saturation. Try out distortion. Stereo is always good, I've found, especially if you automate it. What I like to start a build up with a very mono vocal, could be a synthesizer as well, or guitar, whatever. Start it off quite mono, and then as you build up to the drop, or hook, you widen the stereo. You introduce all of the stereo interest, and that's quite a good
yeah.
technique that I like to use. But for you, it'll just be you as an individual. I think as long as you're curious enough and you mess about enough, you'll probably find something that's unique to you.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else before we start the process? If you want to ask a question at any point during this, by the way, just at my name in the chat and I'll stop if you don't want to use your mic. So stage 1, stability. This is the most simple one. So gain consistency. So that's volume, clean up, and basic signal control. So this stage here, let me play for you. Can you hear anything that's wrong? People, type in the chat. Come on.
Like the volume is not consistent. Like there is like
No.
ups and downs.
I'll play it again. I'm actually, as soon as I start reading chat, no one types in it. Yeah, that doesn't sound very consistent at all. So this is the most basic step. All you have to do is, with your vocal, go through, say you have a waveform. Have I got... Yeah, I've got a pen. Right. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Right. So say you've got a vocal and there's a bit that's that big on your waveform. And that's another word, and that's that big as you're looking at it. That's not going to be good. So what you want to do is, can I change the colour? Oh my God, I can. That's brilliant. You want to either bring this down, so that means you're cutting off these bits here, or bring these up, so you're, either way, what you're doing is changing the difference between the highest, the loudest sounds and the quietest sounds. But make sure, how do I get rid of this? There we go. Make sure when you're using the vocal, so Ray mentioned, would I get surgical and use compression and gain and wire? Yeah, so it really depends. I've found if you start with a good vocal, it's well recorded, you don't have to do as much. If you're, say, sampling something, or you got something from somewhere, maybe it's MP3, but there's, for some reason, it needs more. Well, I can't read the chat. But yes, for some reason it needs more work done to it. That's almost a recipe for, not for disaster, but you know how those kind of go, where you think, right, I've got to do this, now I've got to do that. You've got to do so much to it to make it sound good. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So if anyone, Ray, I know, is old enough to know this. Back in the days where we recorded through big mixing desks, you'd have an engineer sat there and he'd ride the fader. So let's see if I can draw. So you'd have a mixing desk. God, my computer's so laggy. So that's pretend that's the volume, and he'd have a singer in the booth, and his job would be to move this. The artist, his job would be to move this up and down, the volume, manually, and the idea was to get a consistent sound. If you had someone that went really close to the microphone and then went really far back and it sounded all different, it's not going to sound good. So thankfully we don't have to do that anymore. But let's have a look at these questions. Right, so when I was saying the tops, I was explaining compression and limiting. You don't really want to limit first. You want to compress first. Getting addicted to the drawing this now, but I'm really no good at this. But essentially, if you say you've got, this is part one of the vocal, this says whatever, and then you got this bit, and it looks like that. Then there's a big one there or something. That's just going to cause you problems. So with a compressor, all you're doing is, let's change the color again. Let's use green. So if you cut that off, see the difference there? I've completely ruined that. But you're basically making the difference between the highest highs and the lowest lows. You're reducing that distance so it's more consistent. So instead of that, you get, I'm Bob Ross. Next time I'm going to have actual images. So this is the most boring one. So moving on. So tone positioning. Now this is only just a rough ballpark. Don't stick to these numbers religiously, but it's a good starting point. So if you have a vocal, I must have had that somewhere. I prepared something. I swear I did. But so have a read of this first. Let's have a look for an image. So these are the rough ranges you want to look at for your vocals to get rid of certain things. Let's say, where is it? Oh, here it is. Where? Oh, yeah. Come on. Oh, there we go. That will do. Can we see that? Is that working? Okay. I should have done the very big view. All right. That's not what I wanted. Jesus Christ. Okay, that kind of works. So if you look at this EQ bumping about, what do you notice? What frequencies are here? This is for a vocal, remember. Feel free to type. So this end is the low end, and this end is the high end. Yeah, exactly that. So 1K is about in the middle of human speech. That's where most of your power comes from in your voice. But if you've got all of this coming through on a vocal, of course, it always depends on what you're doing, but you don't want this majority of the time. So tone positioning, low mid control, so 150 to 400. So say 150 to 400. So right here, look, this is right peaking. This is probably one of the lower harmonics of whatever's playing. But a vocal, you don't want any of this normally. You've got other things to play in this area that want to be here, your low end. All of this over here is for your vocal. You can stay here as much as you want, but you're going to want to, most of the time, at least, bring these down and tame it and just see how it sounds. Make up your own mind. But if there's anything you could focus on for tone positioning, it's get rid of the low mud. I need to get rid of the... No, turn off. There we go. Right, so it's a very subtle difference, I think. I'm going to play it a few times, see if you can hear the difference. I know the second one's a bit louder, but apart from volume, hopefully what you hear is less low mids and more presence in the mid highs. Anyway, this is the fun bit. This is where you move from doing secretarial work to doing some fun. This is the fun bit. Space creation. So if you have a vocal that sounds well EQ'd, nothing that sounds wrong with it, but it's dry, you're not going to really get anywhere with it. You're going to think it just sounds like it's boring. It needs something more. And also a big part of space creation is getting your vocal to exist in the same space as everything else. So if you bring a vocal onto, say, an instrumental, say you've only got the master audio for it, you don't have stems or anything, one of the best things you can do is play about with space and mix things in that way. Because space, I think I said it earlier, can act like a volume control to the human ear. So if you want to reduce the volume of something without making it sound like, all right, he's automating the gain, he's taking the volume down. If you don't want to be doing that, making it obvious, then put a bit of reverb on. So that is dry. Hopefully this is obvious. Yeah, Hogue, how you doing, mate? You've been here long. So I'll play this again. Very, very dry. And then this is probably a bit too much reverb, just to let you know, but to demonstrate the effects. So when you add in reverb, you're not just making it sound echoey and fun. You're defining depth of it, where it is in the mix, how it sits, how it interacts with other layers in the song. And I've spoke about this earlier, but dry wet balance. So if you've got something like this, I'll play this again in a second. Very very echoey, and you just have the reverb and delay on the track itself. You're limiting the amount that you can control the clarity of the vocal. So tell me if you think the clarity is, it's a bit sacrificed, shall we say, for the reverb. I'll play the other one first. So how much can you hear the words of this one compared to the other one? And that is basically why you need dry wet balance. You need space, but you also need to be able to hear what the vocal's saying.
Feel all the lies, they paralyze.
Shouldn't have any problems with that one at all. But now this one has a lot of space, and that's a sacrifice you make.
Feel all the lies, they paralyze.
You still hear it, it's still it's not too much, but you want to strike a balance is the point. You don't want to, it's always about moderation is probably the best rule.
I
and
got a
movement.
question.
Go
So,
on. What's the question?
when you apply reverb or delay, do you like focus on some part of the spectrum? Like are you using like EQ to like filter the reverb or things like that?
Yes, well, this is a great question. Probably something I'll explain it, but this will be on the intermediate vocal techniques, which
Oh,
is
okay, okay,
you
sorry.
should no, sorry. It's a great question. You should EQ your reverbs, because if you don't, and delays as well, if you don't, then where's my one image I prepared? You're gonna have this.
Yeah.
If you don't EQ it, then you're gonna just be putting mud into your mix. What a lot of people do with reverbs is they will sidechain them slightly as well, so that the reverb or the delay, so especially if it's on a separate track, the reverb or the delay, if it's on a separate track, then you don't want it to fight your lead vocal. So some sidechain can help with that as well. But yeah, you do want to EQ your reverb, even if you just low cut, probably enough. And yeah, so character. So
Thanks.
character is very very subjective, but some of the tried and tested methods are saturation, which so if you see like a saturated image, for example, all the colours get vivid, they get bright. With audio, it's very similar. But what it does, saturation, is if you saturate, say you saturate a send or a return, or a group, say you group some layers together. When you saturate them, what you're doing is kind of bringing them together and gluing them together sonically. It's quite a nice. You don't have to put too much saturation as well, but if you're grouping, say you have a group of vocals, you have your leads, maybe you have some harmonies or something in the background, throwing some saturation on there gives it more density. It packs everything together, all of the frequencies, puts them in specific places. It doesn't unify volume like a compressor does, but you've got something you kind of got to try and get a feel for, because it is subjective how much you should use, but using a bit at least is always a good idea. And same with I've written this. This is quite vague here. But when I say harmonic enhancement, this will be what do you call it? Additive. This would be additive EQ at some points. Now, I did say to take away, on EQ earlier, and that's correct. But at this point, you've taken away the bits you don't want. You've processed. This is the last stage. So, if you want to, where's that one image I've got? GIF. So, if you've taken this out already, and you've got the vocal, you're at stage 5. You've done a lot, and you're near the end. You can bump it up a little bit. See where this is hitting. You want to. One of the things you can do is, if you know the key of the sample, so the vocal, say it's in A minor, then you can Google what that is in terms of frequency, hertz wise, and then what you can do is look at all of the harmonics of it, and find one that suits your vocal, and just give it a little boost. See how that sounds. But at this stage, if you want to push it up a little bit, you can do. You shouldn't be afraid, but just don't do it at stage 1, for example. That's where you want to get rid of things you don't want. So this is before.
Feel all the lies they
That might not be before. I can't remember now. Oh yeah, there we go. Play it again. Listen to the stereo image. None of them are too mono, but the second one especially. You can hear how much wider it is. Stereo is a great tool in your mixing arsenal, but don't stereo your lead vocal track. Your lead vocals basically you've got to keep it as pure as you can and mess around with if you send it to a group of returns, whatever, you can mess around as much as you want with those, but as long as you keep your original vocal layer in the middle, you're sensible with it, you can get away with a lot. Yeah, have a look in the chat. Pius has put a hertz to note table in here. So you have a look at where is it? So A is 440 center. So if you have a vocal, say it's in G, you can go along the G column. Now you probably don't want to boost anything below 1,000, because what you're wanting to boost is the clarity of the vocal. Obviously, it depends case by case, but I would say, you can't even see me. There we go. Right. So A's a nice easy one. So anything above 1,000 you can start doing, but I'd say around 2 and 3 is where you want to start boosting. But you don't want to do too much. You just want to lightly touch it. But that's in the chat if anyone wants it. So here's the difference again.
Feel all the lies they paralyze.
Which doesn't sound bad, but character is all about making it sound like yours, so you can get more serious with it.
All the lies they paralyze.
So to summarise, now this is I haven't got every one of them here. I couldn't be bothered. So you stabilise, you EQ, you get rid of the bits you don't want. You put the vocal in space. Remember, you make sure that the space is a separate track. You send the vocal somewhere else, and that somewhere else is where you do these other things. So you make sure it's in space. Then after that, you don't just leave the settings however they sound. You change them throughout the song. You use them as an energy weapon as such. So you use them to signal things. You use them to move from A to B. If there's, say, a point in a song, there probably is many times you've had where you think, oh, I just don't know how to get from this point to this point. This is one of those things that helps you move. And character is something I can't really tell an individual how to do. I'll probably go more into it in the intermediate session, but try out all the different effects in your workstations. Try saturation, try distortions, try a bit of chorus. Try flanges. Mess with the stereo image. There's so many different things you can do, and don't be afraid to mess around because you might find something good. So this is before, I think.
Feel all the lies they paralyze.
And after.
Feel all the lies they paralyze.
Take questions in a second. Yeah. Okay, so
Sorry, I get a question again.
no, you're my favourite. They're asking questions. I love it. Go on.
I mean, it's for vocals, but it's for other things as well. But what do you think? Like sometimes, for example, with the ping pong delay, it's very like stereo, and people say like most clubs they have like big mono systems. Like how do you kind of how to say it? Like
Should you
you
worry
you
about
make it
having too much stereo?
yeah, like
No, you
usually
shouldn't worry. No.
I would watch like my span, I got like my mono image, my stereo image, and if it goes too wild, I just do some mid-side EQ, like, but
Yeah, well, you want a
yeah, I
mid-side.
always worry about that.
You should only really want to mono your sub, your lowest frequencies. Even phones nowadays are stereo. It's the
Yeah,
only part of the frequency spectrum it's going to really affect is the low end. If you have stereo sub, then it's not going to sound good
yeah.
in a lot of these clubs. But I won't worry further up the spectrum. I don't think it'd be an issue.
Okay, thank you.
So I think I skipped it. So this is the clinic portion. Now this is more interactive, and hopefully this part is something in future sessions. I'll be using someone's music, someone's material, something that someone sent in from JamWith. But if you've taken on board anything I've said, I do drone on a lot. See if you can diagnose what's wrong here. There aren't any wrong answers. You might notice something I didn't even catch. But I am looking for something specific, and anything else you can say. So this is in a track, so in context and on its own. So I'll play it in a track first.
Breathing in the air, I knew.
Feel all
Breathing in the air, I knew. Breathing in the air, I knew. 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 I knew.
Yeah, I like that point, Hoagie. That's very much what I'm looking for. So what part would that fall under of steps 1 to 5? Let's go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Come on, Ray. What do you think? Only one with a mic. Yeah, I can see you typing. Shall I play some more? I'll play some more once you've finished, Ray. That's all right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. It doesn't. It sounds very assembled. I'll play it again. For everyone.
Breathing in the air, I knew. I knew. 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 Breathing in the air, I knew. I knew Breathing in the air, I knew. Breathing in the air, I knew.
RPCing through the fog with a very good point. I see too low. This is the thing. It's so subjective, isn't it? RP, why would you say it's too loud? Well, it might need EQing. It might be both. It might be too loud, and it might need EQing as well. But why would you say it's too loud? Out of interest, what's telling you that? Yeah, kind of like what Ray's saying. Yeah, yeah. It's very dominant, isn't it? Play it
Yeah,
solo.
it lacks depth, and you could put it on like at the beginning. If it's very dry, it's fine like for like the three first words. But I picture it like when you start to play with the some delay and automate it like through every words, like almost being surgical with it, you can create something very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, exactly. So it could start like you're saying. It could start dry, but if it's going to stay like that, stay as it started throughout the whole thing, it's going to be boring.
Yeah, if it's too like for RP, if it's too loud when it's dry like this, maybe at the beginning like you automate the gain as well for making like
Yeah,
introduction
yeah,
like
yeah,
effects, some shit like that.
exactly. So where is the problem? What's the first move? What do we listen for? What do we avoid? Pretty much what I do when I'm say listening to something on Mix Down Mondays with Ray. Someone puts a track in and they say I want mixed feedback. This is what I kind of say in my head. Well, what is the problem? What is the first thing that jumps out? You know, what would you do? Now you've worked out what you think the problem is. What do you do about? What do you do about it? What is your first step towards rectifying it? But also, how do you know what the problem is? How do you know what to listen for? And then this is the thing that is the hardest to learn: what to avoid, which you only really get with experience. But so many times you led down a rabbit hole, and well, it's trying to get to the end of a rainbow and get the pot of gold. So tell me what the difference is, what you notice. Ray's been very, very particular. It is overdone, but hopefully the difference is it's obvious. You can have something too dry. You can have something too wet.
Sometimes
it's
that's
all
the
about
hard part
context.
to find the right middle point between the two. Like,
Yeah. So be careful you don't overcorrect. Is what I'm trying to say here. Is if I'm telling you to put reverb on delays and it ends up sounding lost, then I've failed you, and I'm sorry. But also just be aware that a vocal needs to be heard. You need to be able to hear what it's saying. How many times have you heard? Maybe not as much in techno and stuff, but majority of the time you want to go drier. You want to go softer on the effects than harder, because I'll play the mix again. You notice this is two different vocals playing off of each other. One of them is very spacious and the other one is drier. Did anyone notice that there's two vocals? One is very spacious and the other is drier. It's more present. I'll play the solo version. It's so finicky. It just sometimes doesn't show the. Anyway, so be careful you don't overcorrect. And if you do, just take a couple of steps back. And this is why you want to have a dry channel and a send your vocal to like a return or a send, because all you have to do then is just turn the volume down of the stuff that's annoying you, instead of having to mess around with your vocal. So that's the beauty of that. Yeah, exactly. More layers the better. So one thing I like to do is record my sends, so it would be reverb, delays, bounce them to audio as a stem, and then mix that with my other vocals. I've found doing that, especially towards the end, you can, if you then process the spatial effects with your vocals, say you saturate them together, that really adds a nice bit of glue. There's all sorts of things you can try. Just don't be afraid to experiment. Only after a certain point. You don't want to experiment with step one and have a vocal that shouts and whispers, then shouts and whispers. You don't want that. But experiment later on with the character, with movement. Just have fun with it. As long as you do the steps before, you can then have fun afterwards. But that's why you do the stuff before, is to let you have fun, basically, and make something you really enjoy. Aaron the singer. Welcome, Aaron.
So how you doing?
Not bad, not bad. You've caught us near the end. You can still hang about though, because we have got a Q&A, general questions towards the end, and this is being recorded as well, so you can catch up to the start. But we're going through vocal processing, vocal mixing, the essentials, and what you need to do every time, just to make sure you give yourself a fighting chance. So that was the before mix. So that's too dry. After.
Breathing in the air, I knew. Breathing in the air, breathing in the air, I knew.
Oh God, it's looping. Hang on. Sneak preview. So you've got to get a balance, and with processing, not just vocals, but the majority of music is subjective. There's a too much and there's too little. Try and hit somewhere in between here, and you should be good.
Breathing in the air, I knew.
Hello, Vin. It's all right. It's been recorded, so this is nice and dry.
Breathing in the air, I knew. I knew.
And with a lot of spatial effects. See this, does it remind you of the track I played at the start, the breakdowns, etc.? Yeah, exactly, wet it up. This isn't what you want for the chorus or the hook, but try not to get this wet all the time. But you can get a lot of movement
Breathing
with something like
in
this.
the air, I knew.
Got a wet vocal and you've got a drier vocal.
Breathing in the air,
Okay. So this is the bit that the late joiners are going to like. To take home for everyone, I've written a little cheat sheet, which is basically like bullet points of what I've covered today. So if you're going to remember anything, you should remember these bits. I'll have a link to the actual document in a sec. But this is what you want to look out for. Yeah, so if your vocal feels like it's getting buried, things are overpowering it, then it's getting masked. So it normally happens in the mid-range, but if it feels like you're struggling to hear your vocal, you say, oh, what did I just say? What words are happening? Yeah, if you're having to really focus, lock in to hear what the vocal's saying, it's getting buried. Same with disconnected, but that's the opposite. So some of you thought that was a program, Google Slides. Would you believe it? So disconnected is the yin to buried yang. So if it sounds like it's in space, like hello, hello, you can't hear any clarity, it's a space issue. So dial it down a bit. Harshness, muddiness, kind of obvious to me, but if you're hearing a vocal and it's kind of ringing your ears a bit, that's when you want to duck, the mid highs. And muddiness, I don't know about anyone else, but I always low cut my vocals because if you get a 400 hertz tone, just Google it or something. You don't need a voice to make that frequency. You've got so many other things fighting in that range. So flatness means, is it doing the same thing the whole time? How awful is it where you hear something in a song, it sounds good, but then it just does the same thing over and over and over and over again? You want variety is the spice of life. So don't be afraid to change things up throughout your song. Add a bit of automation. Do a delay throw. Ramp up the delay just before the chorus hits. Widen the stereo image. Add a bit of distortion. A little bit of saturation or something in the hook or chorus. Just change it up a bit. For editing, recording. Oh, I don't think he's talking to me. And so wetness. You can get away with a bit more delay by adjusting pre-delay and decay. So decay is similar to what I said earlier about a tail. So decay is just how much of the echoey sound follows afterwards. And pre-delay helps you get vocal clarity. Because delays are a repetition of what's happened. So pre-delay basically helps you out there, gets it out of the way for you. So the second key takeaway here, what I've found is if you can EQ everything right, it sounds good before you add effects. Nice to meet you, Aaron. It's very, very nice that you've come today. I'm going to give everyone a sheet at the end as well, so you won't have missed anything. Ray has recorded the whole thing, which I'm dreading. But yeah, if there's one thing you should really hone in on, it's don't put too much processing your vocals. If you can EQ it right, it sounds good before you're adding reverbs or delays, then it's a space issue. Very unlikely to be a tone issue because you'd have encountered that earlier on. So just remember, don't overdo it. So if you make anything, thanks, Ray. From between now and 2 weeks' time, that uses a vocal, uses reverbs and delays in a similar way to what we've discussed today, then send us a clip and I'm going to play them for the next session. If it's something you want people to hear. Thank you, everyone. Love it. But I do encourage you, if get the lesson pack. It's I need to get the link for it. I'm scanning it with my own phone, actually. Hang on. But yeah, this is the bullet points of what I've gone over today. So if you do end up making something, please okay. I'm not sure, Ray, how do we want people to submit stuff? Well, people can if they want. We can do that now then, before we do the Q&A. I can only see the one I sent the other day. That's annoying. No, I only see. It's because I'm in the UK and I've got to authorise my identity, but I don't want to give it to Discord. That's probably what it is. Yeah. Oh, here we go. All right. DM's fine. Yeah, DM me. Bro, he's British. Bottle of water. This is the first one, Aaron. For the first lesson. All right, it's been a pleasure, mate. Have you? Can you send us the link? That's all. Yeah. Well, I mean, this isn't. This is the end of the session now. This is literally we just chat now.
Oh,
So I don't. Who has anyone got to send anything? Have we got any people going to send over?
I mean, I got one vocal phrase and yeah.
If you want to send it, send it. All right, yeah, we'll leave it going for a bit. Sure. Yeah, it was fun. If anyone's got any requests for what the next one should be, can we do polls, Ray? Can I set one up with some options? Or can I do it? Can I do it in the Discord? Is there a way to do it? So I'll DM you tomorrow or something. If people have any, if there's one topic that everyone wants to do, then I'll just do that one. I've got a few ideas, but basically, yeah. All right. If there's something specific people want to go over, it makes sense to do that. How often? Aaron, I love it that you've joined and you've come here. And I tried to do this last week and I didn't get to. So you're here at the right time. Nice one, Ray.
Good one.
Yeah, everyone feel free to use your mics. There's no more lesson necessarily anymore. So, anyone got any suggestions? What do we want to learn?
I mean, it's specific to techno. Maybe not. Maybe not. Like you could. It's basically like everything related to low end kick bass, like phase
Low end,
correlation, all
Okay.
these things. You know, like kick sound design, bass sound design, all these goodies.
Yeah, mate. So, bass, low end kick bass relationship. Oh yeah, scan that QR code if you want these slides. Yeah, it's being recorded anyway, so Ray will put the link somewhere once it's done. Music docs.
Yeah.
Ruppy, I would help, but I'm shattered now. I don't talk that much at all. Well, why don't you send me your track? Send us your track. And in 2 weeks' time, I'll do a similar thing to the Mixdown Mondays. We'll listen through people's tracks. RP, yeah, that's basically it. Trev, man, Trev got here like just as it's ended.
Damn, I missed it.
Yeah, you literally.
Bro, that's what
literally-
I'm saying, bro.
Come on. I was having a date night.
That's my priorities, man. Come on. I don't want you to sacrifice a date night to listen to me.
You
Well,
can
I
get
don't
the
wanna-
slides.
I don't want to
anyway.
make anybody jealous, but I've already seen this. So,
You're not
Oh, I'm
supposed to
jealous,
say that.
bro.
look at this.
Ah, you're welcome.
Yeah, Shabbos is the best.
Well, did you guys enjoy it? Was this a good session? This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I'm open to feedback, suggestions.
Yeah, I had one thing. Like
One thing. I'm joking.
yeah, it's the only thing that bothered me. It's like, I mean, bother. I don't know if it's the right word. Sorry for English, but like, you know, when you make like the comparison, like when you boosted, when there was the dry vocal and the wet vocal, where you make your EQ boost. I feel like it was not that much gain match. I noticed this, but you know,
Yeah, it
maybe
wasn't game match very well,
someone
was it?
someone who is new, it would be better to have it like game match, so they got the accurate representation of the changes. You know, because you know, as people say, like louder is better. So sometimes you hear like way louder, but you don't notice really the real change. You know, it's just like this. It was the only thing that that pops to my
Well,
ear, like
it's a very
the
good
two
point, yeah.
vocals
That's the
comparison. My bad.
what I was saying earlier when I can't remember who it was asking about gain staging. You get to a certain point, you're processing it where the volume's going to change so much. So, like you've said here, when I applied the processing, it's way louder, you know. So you don't want to waste time gain staging in the early stages. But yeah, in future, I'm gonna make sure they're roughly the same volume. I noticed that as well. I played it and it was like hurt my ears.
Yeah, but I understand, bro. It's boring as fuck to gain match everything, especially if it's like for examples, you know, like.
Maybe I just wanted to challenge everyone. What would you say to doing a clinic on escaping the loop trap?
Let's go. I'm down.
Yeah,
Dude, that would be
Yeah,
great.
bro.
I need that. I need that really bad.
Because I feel like there's so many different ways you can attack that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so many ways.
It
Yeah.
feels like it's genre specific, but I feel like there are a lot of objective tips that would be kind of interesting to hear.
Yeah, because me and Shabs are definitely not in the same genre, but I feel like we come together on a lot of different concepts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
100%. There's a lot of things universal, aren't they?
Yeah.
because sometimes it's as simple as
Oh no
what I
way.
always like to say is like take away something or add something, but just
I
like
don't
a
know how to say
singular
your
thing.
name. Mellified man. I can't say the first bit.
It would be kind of interesting if that clinic
DM
were
me if you
like
want.
multiple speakers.
Was that sorry? Multiple what?
Oh yeah, multiple
Multiple
speakers like at that
speakers.
clinic. Yeah, so then that way you could
That'd be
like
good.
give escaping the loop trap like advice to like different genres, and then more
Then
exposure to
I'm
different
totally up
genres
for
could
that.
be cool.
If anyone wants to join in as a speaker, then I'll be more than happy. I'm not on Twitch. RP. I think it's Ray.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Twitch, but somebody found you on Twitch. Maybe he found Ray on Twitch. Is Ray on
That might
Twitch?
be it. Probably.
Oh no, he said he infected Newgrounds, man.
RP. Right. Trebeloff joined the other day. Right. He didn't even know it. He's really got another feature. He just uploaded it. He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw it up.
Yeah, I've been front paged twice. Like, what is that? Is that good? Is that,
Yeah.
you know. So, shout out Newgrounds, man.
They've taken a
That-
liking to your stuff, especially you've got like 4 uploads.
Yeah, and they're all
You've got-
different.
You've got 4 uploads and half of them are front page. That's insane.
I love that. Well, it's all about who you know.
I probably didn't have anything to do with
RP. No, yeah. So RP's from it. What's his name
no,
on
no.
Newgrounds?
I know. I met RP on Discord, and he was the only person that had a Newgrounds account, and he was like, no one
I
else
don't
uses
follow
it,
him.
but he still uploaded there because he's a dunny.
I just followed
Oh,
you,
I need
RP.
I need to work on my Newgrounds account. I
Yeah,
haven't done
definitely.
anything with that.
Oh, bro, if you want to
'Cause
work on
I
your
worked
Newgrounds
with,
account, there's this amazing extension you can get by this legend.
Shabs made this
'Cause, like-
extension for Newgrounds, and it's insane.
Dude, I need to know about that. Because I have like an account from when I worked with Kaza, but then I uploaded one track and then they banned me because it was
What?
copyrighted, even though I did the production.
Bleep.
Did you sample something?
Yeah, it was, but it was on Spotify, so it was cleared. But it copyrighted me by saying you're stealing from the guy you worked with.
It's because
Bollocks.
it's in the system, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think my information was on there. Like, I don't think it knew that I worked on it. So maybe I
Did
could
you,
talk again.
Did you declare it in the song as well?
But, I think I'm in the credits.
Because you have to declare on Newgrounds that it uses third-party samples.
Oh, my it's not like a ban, it was a timeout. So I think I'm all good now. You gotta work on that.
I think.
Oh, I cannot do that. There's a
we've done-
hold on your account.
I think we've done with the clinic.
Gotta make a new account.
Hey, 160 fans. That's what's up.
It's RP. Go on, man.
You gotta turn up your mic, Shabs. I can barely hear you.
Any better?
There you go. Yeah, much better. But yeah, shout out Shabs. Getting us all back on Newgrounds.
Trev, man, you've done amazingly well.
I appreciate it, man. No thanks to you. You know, it's just a different place. And like you said though, you did say it to me when you told me to get on Newgrounds. You said, you're gonna get a lot more organic listeners,
Yeah.
and you know,
That's
and I
exactly it.
like how a lot of people are just adamant on just like leaving you feedback and reacting to shit, and it's just a lot more interactive. Like I like it.
It feels like how the internet used to be, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, because that's what it was. Because the internet used to be an escape from real life. And now we need real life to escape from the internet because the internet's fucking everywhere.
Newgrounds is like a
That
safe
was well
haven.
said.
I mean, because I feel like I'm, since I'm Unc, I'm certified to say that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've
Look at
kind of
Richie,
seen
he's
both
just joined
sides.
Newgrounds as well.
And it's funny because, Newgrounds was around when the internet first started, and that's why when Shabs reintroduced me, I was like, this is crazy. I remember being in middle school, right? And I'm like 36, dude.
I wonder
So
what
think
you looked
about
at
that.
Newgrounds in middle school. I wonder what you used it for. That was my
Yeah.
thing.
And it's so funny. And we used to be like, all right, like the real life is like so interactive. We need a break from it. So we went on the internet. And then now it's like, all right, let's go in real life to get a break from the internet. But I love it. I need to check out some of the videos and like some of the games and shit they got on there now.
Oh, I don't look at any of that. I just do the music stuff.
There's so much music stuff on there too. I came across one guy who had started following me. He just did like comedy bits and like acapella shit. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. It's like voice stuff. That's cool.
Yep.
Oh, did you know I made it into the Newgrounds newspaper today?
Yeah. Well, as you
You
should.
did?
I mean, you're doing so many good things for Newgrounds, bro. What'd you do?
That was the extension that I made. Got to mention. I can't even think how many people I've dragged over there now. It's ridiculous.
I mean, that's very useful. That's funny that they haven't thought of that before, and you had to be the first one. Oh yeah, I always click on that too, and because that would be cool to get that notification one day that they put your track in a level on Geometry Dash or whatever it is.
Oh man, I've saw the other day someone made a level with my song that's got like 1,000 downloads or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. And they just used your shit, man, and now it's in a
I
game,
didn't even
man.
but the downloads didn't count.